competitive experience of Anfield. They were superb, the fans. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I think the fans love to see the team playing really well, but they also love to see the team working really hard. And that's what we did today. And I liked also what I saw. So if I like it, then mostly the fans like it as well. So it was a good day for us. But again, we won against Ipswich, we won against Brentford, two good teams. I'm not expecting them to be in the top 6 in the upcoming year. So still a lot to prove for us in the upcoming weeks and months.
Your 100th Premier League game at Anfield today. You've only lost 2. I mean, that is some record.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. I'm really proud of it. And I just hate it as well. I'm still gutted about the 2. It's been a great time so far. So let's make it an amazing season, and then we'll see.
The goal they scored, where we need to do better on a defensive transition from a corner. We are this close to get a first contact, and then we miss a 50-50 on the edge of the box where we need to do better. And then in the perfect world, we deal with the 2v2 better. Second half, we couldn't keep the performance up. Liverpool lifted their level. Or maybe it's just us who couldn't keep up. But overall, you can't argue that it was a fair and square win to Liverpool.
Well, he's sort of summed up what happened on that first goal, really, and you two are going to break it down because it did come from Brentford's own attacking corner.
Yeah, it did, and we'll see here that the actual setup from the set piece. Now, I've been a part of an England team that have had a set piece like this when there's no threat to the back line and no one's staying high, on the halfway line. They want to lock that second phase in. So they've got 2 sitting on the edge of the box and it looks quite comfortable. They've got an overload at the back post at 3. You see Mbeumo's gone short and what he's tried to do is bring 2 defenders out. But Liverpool have been quite cute about it and they've actually only sent 1. Now, we would be coached to say if it's a 2v1, you play it short and you go from there. But I don't know if they're so well drilled, they don't see it and recognise it. And then from there, Troy, I think all the problems occur.
Yeah, and this is going basically to what the manager was saying there. I think when we would look at this and break it down, you look, the edge of the box is rung off with the 2 players there. You're very happy with that. And then you're looking into it and you're saying, right, Gravenberch is on Collins, so that's there. Going man for man on their biggest threat. So now really the 2 in the middle, Lewis Potter and Wissa, have really got to go and get a contact on this. But similar to your point, we would be expecting a 2v1 here just to try and make Diaz work because, again, wide players are not normally that. But as we're breaking it down, we'll be saying, well, why is Mbeumo walking in? Because now you're giving Liverpool an advantage. They missed the first contact. And as it comes here now, right, alarm bells need to be going. There's 4v3 in Liverpool's favour. Jan Wout, who comes flying in here, has 2 decisions. 1, foul, kill the action dead. Or he kicks his ball into row Z and the action's dead. He can't do what he does here, which is turns his back on a 50-50 with Mo Salah. Now we're in trouble. Everybody now should be sprinting back, panic stations. Here, the defender has got all he has to do is keep going back, just to keep it as a 2v2 to delay, to let Jan out.
Ruslev go back.
Yeah, sorry, Ruslev go back, sorry. For Jan out to realise that, right, we can make this a 3v2. He's tried his best to get back, but his slight move that he does now makes this pass up for Jota and for Diaz. But I would be questioning now, as a manager, why is it that Gravenberch plus Robertson have gone past 6 of our players? This should be red zone. Oh my God, we're at Anfield. We need to get back and make sure this happens. But as it plays on, you'll see this. That movement allows for Diaz to go. Mbeumo now, last-ditch defender, has to get closer. He doesn't. It allows him to take 3 touches. And the third one puts it straight into the top corner. And it's a great finish. So for Liverpool, it's a wonderful break. But for Brentford and their set-piece coach, they'll be breaking down so much tomorrow.
It's just 1 split second there, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And they're all, from what you've said, they're all just wrong.
Yeah, they're just 3 decisions. Sean Dyche used to say to us all the time, 3 decisions will always lead to a goal, 3 bad decisions. So Mbeumo going in, not making a foul on the edge of the box, and then the defender decided to go forward instead of backing off. Those 3 lead to, when you play at this level with these really good players, lead to goals, unfortunately.
I think the key decisions there, aren't they? The 2 that lock off the edge of the box, they're your last line of defence. So they're your thinkers. They're the players that have got to make the right decision because it's their decision that makes or breaks. And obviously, that 1 poor decision, as Troy said, they're on the back foot and obviously a really good goal from there.
And Mo Salah has given his, on his slot rather, as the new manager, has Mo Salah up and running.
Yep, fresh haircut and he's come back just as fresh on the pitch, hasn't he? He looks really sharp, doesn't he? I think this is the goal on the opening day that settles the game, stretching. We know he's so good at doing that, getting beyond the defenders and getting himself into the box, onto his left foot. And you'll see here, little 1-2 And then it's a really good finish here, just pokes it past the goalkeeper. But he was at it again this afternoon, and we see him again. He did this all afternoon, stretching play, getting in some good positions, and then trying to get himself and the ball, you'll see here, into the box. But this is what Mo Salah does at his best. In and around the box, he keeps the ball and himself moving and gets into really good positions. It was great defending there. And then he gets his goal, which actually settles the play. So again, stretching the play, did it all afternoon. But what he does here that is really good about him, he doesn't switch off. Any other striker, they stay in that offside position. He gets himself back into that second phase position, really good position. Pinnock, the centre-half here, can't see him, takes it really well. But to get himself around the ball here, offline, and just bend it around the keeper, you'll see it just comes offline. And it's a beautiful finish. And he just settles the game for Liverpool here. And, you know, a player with his stats, you know, running into his final year of a contract, you'll see the stats here. I mean, phenomenal. I think you have to pay him what he wants. You need him there for another few years because he's a player that keeps himself in really good shape over the summer and comes back better and better every year.
Nice camaraderie, nice interview. Luis Diaz, your man of the match as well?
Yeah, you couldn't argue with that. He played well, broke the deadlock, big moment in the game, scoring the first goal. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. There's a couple of good performances. As I say, Liverpool weren't at their very, very best today, but he was one of the shining lights.
Yeah. Liverpool going into this season is arguably one of the biggest unknown quantities, right? Having changed their manager after 9 years, there's no fresh blood there, no new signings as of yet. But the early signs are very encouraging, Glenn.
They are encouraging. It's only 2 games against, be it Ipswich, a newly promoted team, and Brentford, one that you'd expect them to beat at Anfield. I think for Liverpool at this moment in time, they've got some very, very good players. They've got a good manager. I think the pressure's off. If Klopp was still manager, I think the fans there and everyone in football would be expecting maybe them to push City and Arsenal and win the league again. That's where I think the attitude would be. New managers come in, and I think that's eased off a little bit. So that's what I mean when I think the pressure's off them. The expectations are always going to be there for Liverpool Football Club, but I think within the camp, within the fans, let's get a solid, consolidate for a year. Let the manager get in the top 4. Let's go again that way. But I think under Klopp, it would have been more pressurised.
Yeah.
So I think they can actually, take their time. McAllister said there, we have to be patient. We have to be patient. It's a new manager. There's new things that they're working at.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we know where City and Arsenal are at after last season. There is no margin for error. And yes, these are winnable fixtures on paper. They have to see them through.
Yeah,
the pressure's there from the off, really.
It is. I mean, you're going to have to get right into the 90s, aren't you, in terms of points at the end of the season. There's very, very little margin for error. You simply can't slip up. And I don't care whether it's, some people say, oh, yeah, you can lose a couple at the start of the season. I don't think you can anymore. I think it's so hard to catch up. You've almost got to be faultless for the remaining 30-odd games of the season. You look at the run-ins of the top teams in recent years, they simply do not make a mistake. So with that in mind, you can't give anybody a lead. And it doesn't matter whether you're playing a newly promoted team, a Leicester team, or whatever in the league. Every team can give you a scare. Every team can beat you, unless you're right on it. And Liverpool have started the season well, deserved to pick up both wins. But Arsenal and Manchester City have started equally as well, and they both look, absolutely at the top of their game as well. So this could be the most competitive. At the top of the league there, it could be the hardest league to win for a long, long time.
So with your manager's hat on, Glenn, the biggest positive for Liverpool so far?
Well, the 6 points, obviously, but I think he's happy with what he's seeing. They've slightly changed the way they play, and I think as a manager, you look for clarity, you look for patterns. And if there's negative patterns, you've got to put them right. But I think there's a lot of positive things there. He's got a lot of players off the mark who've scored goals at the moment that he wanted to. And I got a feeling he's thinking there's still a lot more to come from this team. Trent came off and he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
But you see him go back and have a chat with him on the bench there during the game, went to the back row, had a real chat, explained why he brought him off probably, whatever it would be. Trent didn't look that much happier after the conversation, but that's his man management. He's obviously saying to him possibly, look, you came off because you were playing well and you hit some wonderful passes, but this and this. You're seeing Trent playing a slightly different, a little bit wider, back to where he normally plays. He went
orthodox right back?
Yeah, he went in a little... At times, he's given the licence to go in and play central, but when the ball's higher up the pitch, and I think that suits Trent, some of his passing today was exquisite.
Which we know all about. Mind you, you want your players to be disappointed when they've been substituted, don't you?
Yes, you
I mean,
do.
Mo Salah's been like that, in most of his time at Liverpool.
You do. It's that fine line, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's that fine line. I think if you're a bundle of joy coming off and sitting on the bench laughing and joking, then I'd look at you and think, is there something wrong with you? That's not, you should be every single minute you want to play, making a difference, scoring goals, creating goals, all those things. That's what you train. That's what you're born for, to play on this stage. So I get it. It's just when it goes over the top. And as I say, I don't mind it from a player's point of view, but since you retire, you sort of look at it from a manager's point of view as well, and you think, we're winning soon. I don't need, when everything's good, you kept a clean sheet, you've scored a couple of goals, you don't want problems. And I'm not suggesting for a minute there are going to be problems. He just looks a little bit disappointed, which is good. I'm sure you can fix those when you're winning, Glenn.
I think disappointment, you want disappointment. You don't want any player coming off being content about being dragged off. But it's when that and it upsets the energy of the camp. That is what you don't want, and you don't allow. If you're a manager, you want them to be disappointed, of course, because what you want to do is you say, I've brought you off because of X, Y, Z. Let's go next week again, or the next time you play. Let's work in training at what you've got to improve on, blah, blah, blah. And that's what there should be reasons why he's come. I think he's come off because he might have been protecting him, to be honest. He wants to see young Bradley as well. He's a new manager. He wants to see everything, because if he loses Trent to an injury, he's got to know that Bradley's good enough, and he won't know that if he's sitting next to him on the bench week in and week out.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes here and there, now he thinks he's got the right temperament.
OK, I'll stir the pot a little bit. Trent Alexander-Arnold, there's a few big players, Manish, coming in. They're in their last season of their contract. If you're the manager and you've got really important players, normally you've got them under contract 4 or 5 years, you can do what you're going to play them anyway, but then you can sort of manipulate it as you want. When somebody's only got 9-10 months left of their contract and they're a little bit disappointed, do you almost bow down to thinking, I can't disappoint him anymore? He's not going to sign here. He's going to, or that might become a little bit trickier.
I think that's in the week. I think that's away from match day. Match day, you are 3 points. Whatever your decisions are as a manager, you've got to get your 3 points. And if it means leaving Trent on, if that was 1-1 or 1-0, you'd probably find that Trent would have stayed on, just in case they equalise. What do we want? We want a creator. We want somebody who can hit a cross and hit a pass that can. So 2-0, he felt there was a bit of a cushion. And I think he read the game and said, no, I'm going to bring him off. It might just be to rest him, who knows? He was away with England, had a long sort of season. So there's a multitude of things. But I don't think that comes into it, Michael. In between, in the training ground, sit down with him, chat to him. That's how I think he'll work out the contract scenario.
It's a good point, because Salah and Virgil are two others who are into their final year. And I suppose as a manager, you can't afford to think about things like that. You're just trying to get through the 90 minutes, right?
And he brought Mo Salah off as well.
He did, yeah.
And he tends to have done that so far in his 2 games. I mean, Jurgen Klopp didn't make loads of substitutions nor does Pep Guardiola. It's quite ironic, because they were the 2 managers that were pushing for all the extra substitutes. But they hardly ever bring players off. But this manager so far has really rotated his attacking players in the main, leaves his back 4 on, although the 2 fullbacks came off in the first game. But the other point to make as well is Conor Bradley is an unbelievable young player. Yeah. And you can't just keep leaving him on the bench when he's so promising.
But let's not forget as well, the players are trying to learn what Arne Slot is all about, and vice versa. So, there might be the odd occasion now. Slot might want to nip it in the bud. It might not be anything at the end of the day, but they just, they're just trying to find a way of moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Together.
Listen, there's no problems. I'm not suggesting for a minute there's any problems at Liverpool. It is just an interesting one, because I suspect we'll be sat here a bit later on in the season, and the contract situation of the 3 players is going to start coming to light a little bit more.
After Christmas.
After Christmas, definitely. And this is the time now for the manager to really impress these lads. If they're wobbling a little bit, thinking, Liverpool aren't winning the league for a few years now. Should I be thinking of my future? Real Madrid are going to need a new right-back soon.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he might be looking at that. Virgil van Dijk's coming to the best years of his career. And these players are going to be thinking, I'm right at the top of my game. I want to be at the best team, winning all of it, and hopefully that is still at Liverpool. But the next few months, as Glenn says, are going to.
I think it's got to be before the new year, because of they can sign a pre-contract, can't they?
Yeah. Exactly.
In January. So at the end of the day, they've got to sort it out by November, October and get a steer on where it's going for the long term.
Yeah, but talking of Trent going forward, you think he's now reverting back to a more orthodox right back now? As opposed to inverting midfield?
Yeah, there were a couple of occasions today when he did pop up in central. Actually, he was playing left wing for a couple of minutes as well in the second half. At Ipswich, he looked like much more of an orthodox midfielder. And of course...
Or fullback, yeah.
Sorry, fullback. I think when Canate, when he plays, he almost comes to a right-back area as well, and him, Virgil van Dijk and Robertson can almost cover it as a back three, and that's when he goes in. But I think at the moment, in the first couple of games, he's going into midfield a little bit less.
Yeah. I also think when Enzo's playing, when a holding player's playing, then you might need Trent going in there. But at the moment, he's playing with footballers in there. He can stay a bit wider.
Let's talk to one of his defensive teammates, shall we? Delighted to say we can speak pitchside at Anfield with Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk. Virgil, well done. 2 wins out of 2. 2 clean sheets from a defender's perspective. You must be delighted with Liverpool's start under the new manager.
Yeah, obviously it's a good start, the start that we all wanted. So yeah, build on today, and be ready for a big one next week.
Just tell us, how does the Liverpool approach differ under Arne Slot compared to Jurgen Klopp?
Well, I won't say I'm annoyed with all these questions about comparing, because there's no point to do so. Obviously, there's a new manager with different ideas, and obviously I think the different patterns of playing, the positioning of certain players in the game, and obviously adapting is very big as well. Obviously, you see opponents press with 2 strikers, press with 1 striker, go 1v1 in the back, and we all be able to adapt on the situation. That's very important. So it's a lot of responsibility on our side, a lot of responsibility on the centre-backs in terms of when we have the ball. So yeah, it's something that we all enjoy. We're still learning, I think, but in my opinion, it only can go better. We'll analyse today as well. But I think we should not think about what we did in the past, because the past has been very successful. We all had an amazing time, but I think it's time to just give the new boss his credits and focus and attention and in order to be successful, I think.
Fair point. No questions on the past from me, but I know Michael's got one for you.
Hi, Virgil. It's Michael Owen. I'm just wondering, in your role in this team, of course, being a fellow countryman to the new boss, and obviously being the captain as well, have you felt that sort of extension of the manager passing through to the team, or is your role just as normal as it always has been?
No, definitely. I think that speaks for itself. I think the very first conversation I had with him, I told him obviously, like, whatever he needs, I'm here for him, and I'm the captain, of course, but I totally understand that at times so many things are new for him. So I'm there for him, and but it's something I enjoy, and I think you can see that. I think also on the pitch, with the way we play, he puts a lot of responsibility in my hands, in terms of, in the build-up and in protection or whatever. But it's a nice responsibility that I really enjoy, and it can only go better in my opinion. And we have to keep working and not stay satisfied with what we got so far, because obviously it's just 2 games. The season is going to be very long, with loads of games again. So we have to be ready and always want to improve.
Virgil, Glenn Hoddle here. Congratulations on your performance today. Just on one thing, tactically, slightly maybe different. Not such a high line for your back 4 under Slot compared to Jurgen?
Well, I think it's quite a high line still, but obviously when the ball is free, you have to make sure you are in an angle and ready to drop, because obviously we don't want to have easy balls and play them behind and act like they're offside. So that's something we definitely train on. Because we want to take the certainty instead of the uncertainty at times, because obviously nowadays with the technology, it's a bit difficult. But yeah, I still think that we have quite a high line, but obviously we adapt quite quickly in terms of when the ball is free in order to drop. So that's definitely something where we work on.
The next one against Manchester United. I mean, it's a kind of fixture that's come almost earlier in the season than many expected. But you go into that now in the best possible way, would you say, or not?
I think these games are on their own. I remember a certain game we won here 7-0. I think we were not in the best situation, and so many thought He thought that at the time that it could have go their way, and obviously that evening was an amazing evening for us. But these games, these are special games, and when their fans are obviously behind them, and it could change a lot. And we've seen it last year where we couldn't win one game over there. It was tough, and we have to be ready. And we have a whole week now to prepare, and we will prepare in the perfect way, in my opinion, and adapt on everything that they've tried to do in order to be better than them.
Well, good luck for the United game and for the season. Thanks, Virgil, for joining us pitchside.
Thank you very much, guys. All the best.
Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk, actually. And I just want to go back to that opening statement, because I think it's true. Probably the players probably feel that way, that they've had 9 years of a certain manager. It's enough time. The time's gone now to look back. It is time to move forward and what they can do under Arne Slot.
Yeah, I think that goes for the whole club as well. The fans are probably still licking their wounds in many ways over the summer, thinking what a great 9 years it's been, or however long it's been. And that's just life. When somebody's been there for so long, it's almost part of the furniture, and that's that. Players alike. The only difference for the players is it's that voice, it's that same way of playing, it's that that constant, and they've then got to start thinking about another. Some of these clubs that change their manager every 2 minutes, it's just, oh yeah, who's the manager today? You go back into training and it's like, it's changing all the time. But this is a very different situation. So it's understandable, the questions, even though Virgil didn't really like your question.
No, he didn't.
It is understandable. But as you say, time is a great healer. It'll be moving forward. And when you're winning games, then it's far easier to readapt.
I don't get the feeling that it's like when Ferguson left Man United, when Arsene Wenger left Arsenal, there was going to be a massive hole to fill, and it's been a problem to United and Arsenal to a certain degree. They might feel that they've filled it now, but it's took time. I don't get that feeling at the moment with Liverpool. I know it's 9 years is different to what Fergie and Arsene did, but at the end of the day, it's still, they were very successful playing a certain way, but I feel that gap, that hole is going to be filled very quickly. That's my feeling from outside in.
Not such a vacuum as there were elsewhere.
Yeah.
But with Virgil van Dijk, by the way, that contract situation needs to be sorted out, right?
Well, Liverpool know that. I mean, you could argue they're three best players. Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, definitely two of their best players. And then Trent Alexander, three massively important players that are in the last year of their contract. You simply cannot replace those players. And none of them are an age now where you think, it doesn't matter if they leave. They're all still vital to the club. So that absolutely needs to be on the agenda. And as Glenn said before, you can't leave something like that to the end. Well, you can, but they go for nothing.
You run the big risk then, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the opening goal. Luis Diaz got the ball rolling, really, for Liverpool from a Brentford corner.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Brentford, they had enough men back, but all of a sudden, as soon as one or two occurrences happened, then it looked like they were quite weak at the back, and then Bumo was the one that probably wasn't expected to. I really loved the Diaz run, if I'm honest. I mean, he's running down towards the far corner, and then all of a sudden changes his direction, running towards the opposite corner, and just gets that 2 or 3 yards on the defender.
It's amazing. It's a great run, because when you're 2v2, the last thing you want to do is go in and attack the two defenders on a straight line. So you either have to take the ball on an angle, or the runner has to make an angled run to create the space. Yeah. And he does it absolutely brilliant, and Jota releases it perfectly. It was poor defending from Brentford, but let's give credit where it's due. For me, Diaz was travelling at such a pace as well to keep his balance, to keep his composure, to stick it in that near post. It was an excellent goal, it really was.
It's quite uncanny, isn't it? Third season in a row, scores the opening goal at Anfield.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, Luis Diaz clearly has a knack for it. But Jota, by the way, starting up front, down the middle for the last two games, is he the man in possession of that number 9 slot?
Yeah, quite clearly at the moment. There's not really anybody in the team you could say Nunez. Nunez is a number 9, but apart from that, there's nobody really that you say, you wouldn't put Salah there. He's so much more effective on the right. I wouldn't put Diaz as... You couldn't put Diaz there. You could have a false 9 maybe with somebody. Well, that's what Jota is, I suppose, at the moment. There's Gakpo. He's done it before, but he's not the long-term answer as a number 9. So, I mean, he's in possession of the shirt at the moment, and he's doing fine. Scored in the first game against Ipswich. So Absolutely. But it is a position whereby if somebody gets injured out wide, you think, OK, someone can naturally fill into that position. Down the middle, as I say, it's only Nunez really that you think to yourself, he's a natural number 9.
Glenn?
I think Jota is one of those players, he's so reliable in any position, but he's so flexible as well, where he can play in behind the striker, he can play out on that left-hand side, he could push, he could play on the right. But what he does do, Michael, he arrives, wherever he's playing, he arrives as a centre-forward, and that's the key. Arriving, that's like Salah gets his goals. He arrives in the penalty area. And for me, that's when Liverpool, when Mane was there as well, he did the same. And that's when they look, they're most potent is when there's people arriving in. Doesn't matter about a big number 9 or a small number or a false number 9. Have you got bodies arriving in that number 9 position? And they have that in abundance.
You mentioned Salah. He got Liverpool second. Took a while to come, this, Michael, but it was a big one in terms of putting the game to bed.
Yeah, it was. You always want your second goal. Everybody knows that 1-0 is quite a vulnerable thing. They were queuing up, weren't they, at the back post there? The finish was very good as well. You know, I'm always keen on a player lifting it. You know, what options have you got? You go low and straight, well, the keeper saves it. You go low and to the side, the keeper sticks his leg out. You go high, probably keeper stands up and it hits his chest. So you've got to go high and wide. And to do that, you've almost got to set it outside the post. You see how much spin he plays on the ball here. So it's given the goalkeeper no chance because it's going over the leg, and it's given the goalkeeper's chest no chance because you're going outside of the goal to curl it in.
Look how hard he works to get outside of the ball.
Yeah.
His body, he takes
He's changed his body shape.
Yeah, it's all about his body shape. Getting out, so the ball's outside his foot, so he can actually stab it. It's like a stab, with a bit of curl. And he's worked really hard to get across, and he knew exactly what he was going to do as soon as he took his first touch in.
You can get spin on the ball running straight. If he just opens his leg out, you can get a little bit of curl on the ball. But when you actually run round it and fall away at the same time, you can just get extra spin on it. And as I say, when a goalkeeper comes out, if you don't put it high and wide of him, then he's going to save it. He's covered. Look at the way he lies down. Left foot stretched, right foot stretched. So you can't go low. And then his whole body is basically, if you get down to ball level where he's hitting it there, his whole body is covering the goal. He's so close to you. So your only way really is to feed it high and wide. And then you need loads of curl.
It was such an exaggerated move.
And that all happens in a split second. As soon as his first touches took him in, he knows what he's looking to do. Get on the outside of the ball. Because if he stabs it like that a little bit straight, the spin might go the other side of the goal. But he's really worked hard to make it come out like Michael's saying, and it was almost like a knife when he stabs it. It's like, boom, just a little.
Interesting. It's the first time he scored in Liverpool's first 2 opening games of a league season, and he's looking to hit the 20 mark for an 8th consecutive campaign. I mean, he's got off to the best start, right? I mean, that could happen again. 8th time.
He's just incredible.
Goals.
He's just incredible, isn't he? I mean, you know, you do watch him sometimes. And I've probably counted 4 times today where I've seen, and the ball's bounced off him. His first touch, and I've gone, oh, you know, you don't normally see absolute elite world-class players, you know, the ball bouncing off. However, give him a chance, give him certain situations, he's absolutely incredible. This would have been goal of the season in the second week. If that had gone in, that would have been just...
That would have been up there with Jack Wilshere's goal for Arsenal, right?
It would have. It was absolutely incredible.
One touch.
Although, Glenn, you pointed out at the time, you could argue that was... It might be the defending of the season because he tracked it the whole way.
Janelt was absolutely outstanding. I think we just tracked him there because if they'd have got back in the game, Brentford, it would have been down to that lad sticking with him. The thing, how many times do you see a defender switch off? It 1-1-2, but he had 3 times he had to go and stay with him.
Yeah.
And it was.
You could easily ball watch, right?
Absolutely, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
But he stuck by his task and he saw the danger before the danger even come about, and he ends up getting a really important tackle in.
Let's have another look at the way Janelt has just foiled what would have been a mesmeric goal for Liverpool.
It was lovely play because when you play, any team play one-touch football, it's like something else has happened in the game. Look, one touch. He's gone with him. One touch. But look at the tracking. That is top quality defending from a midfield player. Look, he has to turn. He tracks him. He stays with him. Look, he goes again. My word, that is incredible defending. But beautiful play going forward for Liverpool.
As for Liverpool's chances that came their way in the second half, where should they have done better, Michael?
Well, they had a few chances. They did. They weren't inundated with them. This is a good ball over from Diaz. I mean, if Andy Robertson can get around that, he's got to head it down and back to this far corner. But he was just a little bit outstretched, maybe. This was brilliant. Jota doesn't go for that. He goes for the far post. If he goes near post, he might have scored. That's a wicked ball in from Trent. So there's little different bits, a different selection of finish that they might have been able to score one or two more. But it's always easy after the event. This is just a cracking save. I wouldn't criticise Diaz in any way. He could only
Gakpo here just denied by the woodwork as well.
Yeah, this is that's what he's good at. Deflection again, but Brentford have defended those goals. Actually, there's a lot of defending well. They've got ricochets, they've got blocks in. But no, on another given day, they'd have won that 5-0.
Yeah,
and that's in that last third. Liverpool are always going to be a dangerous team with the players they've got. You're always going to be on your edge of your seat, thinking, are they going to score any minute?
Slot has inherited some brilliant attacking plays. There was one warning shot, of course, that was delivered across the bows of Liverpool. Nathan Collins had a terrific chance here, Glenn.
He did. This is one thing I think Liverpool, their problems have been from set plays. I know this is a second phase from the set play. I think it was Norgard, first half, should have scored from a set play. And that's one thing I think, looking at them, they've got to really improve and knuckle down. But that's a really, a little bit more purchase across the keeper, and that's in the back of the net. So there's always something, even out of a win, there's always something you can improve on. But Collins there, you'd have fancied him. He got above everyone. If he gets a bit more purchase, it's a goal.
Well done, a dream start at home. How did you see that?
Yeah, it was a good start. Most importantly, we didn't concede much. The only big chance we conceded was a set piece, and that's always so difficult if you play Brentford, because they can threaten you in many ways, but one of them certainly is the set piece, and we controlled that quite well, except for that one moment. But a set piece of them also led to our first goal, which was pleasing to see.
Great start. That settled everyone down, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But to get a great start like this, you have to work really hard, and I think that's what the boys did. They kept on working really hard without the ball, and we started playing better and better and better during the second half, which led to many good chances. The only thing we didn't do is kill the game earlier.
You've used the word control a lot since you took charge. Do you feel you had that particularly in the second half a lot today?
Yeah, but what I mean with control is especially when we don't have the ball. So that we work really hard for the other team not to create anything at all. And that's what I saw today as well. And with the ball, we try to come in the situations where we want our best players to be in. And that worked quite well the second half.
And they were in it. And when you've got clinical finishers like Diaz and Salah, more often than not, you're going to score.
Yeah. Normally 9 out of 10 games, maybe even 10 out of 10 games, if you get equal chances to the opponent, it's likely that you win, because we've got one of the best, maybe the best goalkeeper in the league, and we have some very good attackers as well. So what we have to do as a staff is try to bring them as much as we can in dangerous position, and all these great players need to work really hard to make sure the other team doesn't create.
And I know you've had players at different stages of pre-season, but for the first two games, to win them both, to not concede a goal, you must be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, but that's also a positive thing about the players. So they came back after 3 weeks of holiday, and I think it was in most of the situations 2 weeks before the start of the game. But they came back really strong physically, and that helps, of course, if you have to play your Premier League in 2 weeks. So a compliment to the players for how they came back. And I've said many times we haven't changed that much compared to the former regime, so it's not so difficult for them to start playing again, unless they were not fit, but they were, and that was a very positive thing.
And finally, I know you said it wasn't about you today, but it was your first competitive experience of Anfield. They were superb, the fans. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I think the fans love to see the team playing really well, but they also love to see the team working really hard, and that's what we did today. And I liked also what I saw, so if I like it, then mostly the fans like it as well. So it was a good day for us. But again, we won against Ipswich, we won against Brentford, two good teams. I'm not expecting them to be in the top 6 in the upcoming year, so still a lot to prove for us in the upcoming weeks and months.
Very well done today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arne.
Very calm, very collected, Michael.
Very impressive, yeah. I've been really impressed with him since he's arrived. He said the right things. He looks assured, doesn't he? And he's got conviction about what he says. His team have gone out there and done it. 2 comfortable wins, 2 clean sheets. as Glenn said, I think that's the ultimate sort of accolade, I suppose, at the moment, is that when other managers have been at clubs for a long, long time and departed, you question whether they'll continue, and they didn't in terms of their form and their dominance. Whereas at the moment, I've stopped thinking about it already. Stopped thinking about, will this all go the same now? Jurgen Klopp's now is the change of things. Is there going to be any change of players? What's going to happen? Already, I'm pretty calm about it as well, thinking this guy knows what he's doing. He's really calm about things, and I think that's probably the biggest compliment you can give him at the moment.
Yeah, I think he's, dare I say, slotted in quite nicely. No, I think he has actually done that in pre-season. He's building something there, but he's going to have bigger tests. Let's be fair. They're going to come under the cosh. They're going to lose a few games. That, I've always said it, that's when you get tested as a player, and you certainly get tested as a manager and your staff, is when you've suffered a few defeats. How do you react to that? How then do you go into training and pick the team up, pick yourself up, all them things? That's going to happen, because this Premier League, you make one little slip and a team will beat you. There's no doubt about it. And it could be a team down the bottom, because that's how strong this league is.
And while it might be an anomaly, to do what no other Liverpool manager's done in the Premier League era and win their first 2 games, that's quite something, isn't it? It bodes well.
Well, yes, it does. I was surprised when I heard that. I thought other managers...
Graham Souness, the last one in 91.
Back in 91. That has surprised me. I'm just thinking, Klopp probably would have done that, or, it just really hit me, that. I'm not sure, but it's a great start, but there's going to be bigger tests.
This next game's the one, isn't it?
Oh, this is it.
I mean, if Liverpool beat Manchester United, people will be getting carried away thinking, Slot is absolutely what Liverpool need. Fantastic, everything's fine, because you can't no longer say, they've only beaten Brentford and Ipswich. Go into Old Trafford, win in a big pressure game against your arch rivals. People will get excited if Liverpool win the next one. If they don't, then maybe people will start asking questions. Because, as Glenn said, it has been only 2 games so far.
But even there, if they go to Old Trafford, control the game, don't finish them off and get a draw, looking at it from a manager's point of view, I'm thinking, right, we're onto something here.
Yeah.
If they go there and get beat 3-0, then there's a big problem. But they could go there, dominate the game, create better chances, don't take them, and get a draw. And if that happens, you're coming back down the motorway across the Liverpool going, hey, we got a team on our hands here.
Yeah.
We can go toe to toe with everyone.
Is it a good game to have a game of that magnitude so early on in the season for Slot?
Well, yeah, why not? I don't think it's not like it's the first game. He's going to have to play them at some point anyway. He's got a full pre-season under his belt. 2 Premier League games, 1 home, 1 away. I don't think it's any problem, and we just saw the fixtures there as well. I mean, if they beat Manchester United, all of a sudden they've got not a bad little run. They could go, they could be the first 6 games, 7 games, and have 18, 21 points straight away. Wow. It's a real good marker in the sand.
And United have just lost to Brighton, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not the United of old that they're going to, let's be fair. They're still in transition. They beat Fulham with a late goal that changed the game there. That was nip and tuck for quite a long time, that game. So they're not going there with a United team that's really on fire and they can't wait for Liverpool to come. Yes, the atmosphere and the fan, we know the rivalry, but, they're going there as a team that's in good form, really good form, confident, and I wouldn't be surprised if at least they get us a point.
A good one, I think, because we knew beforehand that we had to face a difficult opponent. They can threaten you in many phases of the game, so they can play from the back. They're very dangerous in the counter-attack and, like we all know, in set pieces. And I think the only things we gave away were 1 or 2 set pieces that were dangerous to us. But for the rest, we had total control, in my opinion.
The way that you're playing, am I right saying that you're trying to flood the midfield? Because I thought I saw Trent and Andy going deep into the midfield.
Don't think Andy that much, but if the attack goes on, then he can join the attack. But I think second half we did our positioning much better than the first half, and that helped because you could see the second half that we had many more good attacks than we had the first half. But that also has to do with the opponent that had more energy in the first half than the second. But it also had to do with us, better choices, better positioning, and that led to a few very nice chances.
You got your first goal from a quick counter-attack. How pleasing was that to see the way that your team reacted to a corner that they had?
Yeah, the first thing you have to do when you play every team, but especially Brentford, you have to be aware of their threat in their corners and their set pieces. And we defended that, first of all, really good, and then the ball fell out. And yeah, we have so much pace in our team, and this very smart ball from Diogo, which led to a great goal from Lucio Diaz. So pleasing to see that we didn't concede, but even more pleasing to concede that we scored from their set piece.
You played it a bit down, but how was it the experience to play your first game here at Anfield?
I think it's only a nice experience if you win, and we did, so then it is a nice experience. And I think the fans loved what they see today. They love to see the work rate of the players. They love to see some attacks we had in the second half. So all together was a really nice and good day for the team, for the club, and that's because of that also for me, of course.
Thomas, it's always tough to come to Anfield, especially in front of a record crowd. Did you deserve something from the game, though?
I think it was a game of two halves. I thought we were very good first half. I thought it was completely even first half. They scored a goal where we need to do better on a defensive transition. From our own corner, where we're this close to get first contact, small margins, we lose the 50-50 duel on the edge of the box, and then we are sprinting back in, and we need to do that better. And our chance was a big header, a big chance to Christian Ødegaard from a wide free kick. So completely even, probably our best first half here at Anfield, so progress. In the second half, we couldn't keep up as good. I think we were still in the game for quite a while. Big chance on set pieces from a set piece from Nathan Collins at 1-0. So we're definitely in the game. But after 2-0, okay, more or less game over. And in the end, I think they win fair and square. But there was something in this game, and I think we're progressing.
Just before half-time, Ryan Gravenbach picked up a yellow card for what looked like a two-footed challenge on, I think it was Matthias Jensen. Were you happy that a yellow was sufficient for that?
Yeah, I think it's yellow, yeah.
Sadly for you, no Ivan Toney today. If he's still a Brentford player next weekend, can he come back in for Southampton?
Yeah, of course. Then, he's a Brentford player after next week. He's a Brentford player, and I'll be very happy with that. He's a top player. If he's not a Brentford player, okay, then we deal with that.
Are you fed up of us asking that question?
A tiny bit. Yeah.
Well, we promise this will be the last one. Thanks very much.
2 games into the Arne Slot era at Liverpool now. What do we see that's familiar to us, and what do we see that's different in the way?
Let's get it right. It's 2 good games. Playing Ipswich, newly promoted side, and Brentford at home. You expect Liverpool to take maximum points. That's exactly what they've done. They've been efficient. Mo Salah scoring goals, which is fabulous for the good news, because I thought he was on the way out, to be perfectly honest. But looks like he's going to stay with Trent and with Virgil for another year. Everyone looks happy in the squad. Manager looks like he's got a real personality. Looks like he can converse with the players, which is really, really important. Style-wise, I'm not sure it's heavy metal. A little bit more cultured. I like Gravenberch as a 6. I think especially out of possession, I thought he broke up the game very well. I think he can do better in possession and control it a little bit more. Szoboszlai alongside him and McAllister had 2 of the best 8 in possession and control it a little bit more. Szoboszlai alongside him and McAllister had 2 of the best 8 you're ever going to find in midfield. So, yeah, things are looking up. I'm not surprised they haven't gone to the transfer market. I think with Richard Hughes there now and Michael Edwards, there's no scattergun approach. They won't go to anyone who can't improve them. Now, if this...
Let's talk about the opening goal and the way that Liverpool do that so well.
Amazing. I mean, Thomas Frank needs to take a look, because when you see the analysis, how Brentford defended, it was pretty poor. But it's great. It's the Liverpool trend. It's the way they break. Brentford have left themselves 2v2. I love the weight of pass from Jota.
Timing.
Yeah, the timing, the run from Diaz. He's a big player for Liverpool this season, but the approach is very strange, because you see Mbeumo there, who's an attacker, who's a number 9, ends up being Brentford's deepest defender from a corner. I find that crazy. Unless it's because he's quick, that might be a reason, but still you're asking to be a defender on the transition, which is not easy. But Diaz needs a big season in terms of the goals return, because I think he's a sensational footballer. He's a trickster. You don't want to defend 1v1s. He's got pace, he can finish, but this is what he needs to do. He should be setting himself the target of 15 goals this season. If he gets that return, that'll be brilliant in Arne Slot's first season. So there was little bits there in transition, speed, that not really changed, but I thought the sort of way they controlled the second half especially was that little bit slower. Whether that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, we'll wait and see. First couple of games, you get off to a mark. You're 6 points from 6. I still firmly believe that Liverpool will be in the conversation to try and win a title, or 5 points clear at one time last season. So next week, when they play Man United, who killed them last season at Old Trafford, that's going to be clear at one time last season. So next week, when they play Man United, Liverpool firmly in the conversation to win the league.
Yeah, 2-0 the final score today. They had so many opportunities, though. In the end, it was Mo Salah who had to make sure. 2 goals in 2 now for him.
You cannot keep this man quiet. I think he's a little genius. I mean, his numbers have been incredible. The way he takes it and the timing of it, and there's a little bit of spin on the ball there, little slowness, the way he dinks it over the goalkeeper. Easy to roll that one past the far post, but not Mo. He knows he's anticipating now. He's thinking, if I break it now, he knows, he has a look around him. He's got wing mirrors on. He knows exactly if he takes it out of his feet, gets a good first touch, and he opens up his body with his left foot. It's like that. It's the spin. It just takes it into the far corner. He looks happy again, and that's great news for the Liverpool fans.
We used to call that back in the day cheating, and what I mean by that is when Brentford were in possession and were getting closed down, Mo Salah or your winger has got to get back and defend. Yeah. But I think the way he stood still when Brentford were in possession and were getting closed down, Mo Salah or your winger has got to get back and defend. Yeah. But I think the way he stood still when the Brentford players like thinking, what are we going to do? We've got they've completely switched off from where Mo Salah was. So he sort of cheats in a way. And then all of a sudden, when the Liverpool midfield win the ball back, he's completely free and a brilliant finish.
We'll shake Mo Salah's hand.
This is what I'm saying.
He's a Liverpool legend. And
yes.
I think the time has come. Maybe
this is the arguments I'm saying.
So
I don't think they'll want to shift that bracket.
You cannot give him another long-term deal.
They won't, and that's what they'll have to. Though they want to keep him.
Yeah, rightly so. They shouldn't go up.
And they pride themselves on being financially sustainable, Liverpool, don't they? That's them. So they can't move into that next bracket, which is what's he going to want?
Let me ask you something about business.
Well, if Osimhen reckons he's worth 500 a week, which is a stumbling block at the moment for Chelsea.
Yeah, it's a wee bit.
Yes.
Maybe it's not. Let me ask you, if you've always talked about Liverpool being financially astute, knowing exactly what they're doing, is it not a fault of the club to allow 3 of their top players to get into the last year of the contract?
It's not a good look, yeah.
How does that happen? If that's a fault, whose fault would that be to allow those 3 players to get into the last year of the contract?
Well, I don't know, but a lot changed, didn't it, over the last 2 seasons? Michael Edwards left, who had his hand over everything. And, Jürgen was in charge of a lot of stuff when it comes to recruitments and stuff. So I don't know. It can't have slipped under the carpet.
It can't have 3 of your best players.
It can't have done. So I don't know where it went wrong, but obviously they're back in now, and like I said before, you're going to have to keep Salah, you're going to have to change the wage structure again. Van Dijk doesn't fit into their model. He's 32, 33, he doesn't fit in to what they do.
So is Mo.
And Mo, yeah.
32.
But there's another argument with him because he'll shift the wages. Trent's the big one that they'll have to keep, I think.
And they'll have to up his salary if they keep him.
Yeah, but
they're going to have to give him fortunes.
No, they don't. They'll
Why?
just... No, they
to keep him.
No,
yes, they will.
So he'll be on what now? 200 a week. So they'll just up it to 300 a week. What Salah's on 350.
Yeah, look, they'll have to give him what Salah getting.
Yeah, but they're not changing the. It's capped at the minute, isn't it? At that 350 with Salah because he's the highest paid. They won't want to go 450, and that's what they'll have to do if Salah signs a new deal. They'll have to up that wage structure. So then Trent will come in and go, well, if he's on 450, I want to be on 400. You have to give him 400. Van Dijk will want to get it as well. And
I think Salah's an easy one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Same money, and
same money.
2 years.
But there's the commercial aspect of it as well.
I agree with you. Alexander-Arnold is the big one because he's in his prime. He is £100 million, however you look at it.
He's not if he's in the last year of his contract.
In the last year of his contract, he's walking away for nothing if he takes it.
In January, Richard, he can sign for anyone he wants.
Of course he can.
But the thing, Andy, you talk about 3 players leaving from a football side of things. Football's just not football anymore. It's business, isn't it? So you're now looking at the commercial side of things. What's the value to the football club of Mo Salah commercially?
Huge.
So that's got to come into account.
Probably the biggest.
Virgil van Dijk's huge as well. I mean, there's a lot of stuff he's going on behind the scenes. He's friends with LeBron. He's FSG like him. Commercially, he's very sellable. So all that comes into play as well. Like, what is the value of?
That sounds to me like Liverpool have got a major problem coming up, salary-wise.
Well, looking after players. They've got some things.
That's why the owner was at the game today. Probably he's going to have a long week ahead, trying to sort out the.
No, he'll be out very quick.
Yeah,
he gets himself to London. Yeah.
Liverpool fans would tire of.
No. I think whilst he's winning games, I think that he'll be okay. But that was eerily quiet for me today, and I think
agree with you.
If they start running in mud a little,
I agree with you.
I think that crowd will start to get a little bit uneasy.
Yeah.
They go out
entertained.
to be entertained.
Yeah, yeah.
And the brand of football he's likely to serve up. Goal, fantastic. I mean, no complaints. But too much passing and no intensity. I think there'll be one or two Liverpool fans wanting.
In fairness, I thought second half.
What they've been used to,
I
and
thought
not
they ramped it up second half. I said to you, I think they've ramped it up second half, and they did, and they were much better second half. They were much more threatening Liverpool, many more chances, half chances than they had in the first half. They were much better second half, and the pace of their game and tempo of it was there. But they also looked a little vulnerable at times as well, which they've done in the last couple of years. So I think there's a balance to be made. But if I'm looking at Arne Slot now, and what they've done over the summer and where they are now, I would be fairly happy with what I've seen. I would be fairly happy.
I think what Richard's saying there, I think against the lesser teams in the division, I think, you can play like that and you can win 1-0, 2-0 and we'll go about our business. But when you're playing against, arguably the other top 6 or top 7 as it is now, for Liverpool fans, we bullied City at times. We bullied Arsenal at times the way we played under Klopp, and it was great. We loved it. I don't know whether playing like that you can go to City and get a result. I think we got a result against City, against Arsenal, because of the way we played. We didn't fear them. We went all out. There were great matches. There were great matches because there was a difference in styles, wasn't it? I mean, Arne Slot's on the borderline being Man City.
Part of a day out at Anfield watching football, I think, is that you're on a roller coaster.
Yeah. We loved it.
And you just don't know.
Yeah.
And you think of some of the great nights there, and you can't replicate that every week, nor did Klopp. But just something that about this is a bit too...
I agree with you, yeah.
I think it's a wait and see. It's a wait and see for me. I think, we can be judging people too early. 2 games in, away win at Ipswich, comfortable, no problem. Home win, comfortable, no problem.
Second half at Ipswich, much more like it. I mean, good.
Yeah, but that was down to Ipswich tiring as well.
Yeah,
more
very
space
much so.
and time.
That was just quiet.
Yeah.